What's going on, everybody? It is I, Jacob Moore, the incorrect self-proclaimed sports analyst, joined by Mr. Lane Dashing Dashko. Oh man, I'm never going to watch the screen again. And of course, Mr. Moore for your money.
Woo!
Who is shockingly has already turned on his light before we hit the air. Very new for this man. Look how nicely lit he is. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that beautiful specimen.
I'm nicely lit.
Oh, you're always lit.
That's lit, fam.
Now I'm lit. No, I'm not lit. Now lit. The game. What do I do? Okay, we'll leave it there.
Fam.
Before we get into our conversation, let's remember here we want everyone to enjoy the Leafs post-game show, so please keep the chat respectful. Share your thoughts, reactions, and opinions, but no hate speech, no threats, no personal attacks. Looking at you, Dan, no personal attacks.
Okay.
And of course, no targeting players.
You don't want attacking me with mac and cheese.
We debate the game, not each other. Let's keep it clean and have some fun. Remember, the Analyst Desk every day feels like game day.
Lane's just knocking him out.
How's it going, David? Always good to hear from you. Always good to see you.
It's a fight. I'm fighting everyone.
We are also going to be joined by friend of the show, Mr. Will. How's it going, Will?
Oh,
what's up, guys? How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks, Will. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for allowing to have me on.
Oh, of course. Happy to have you.
So I got to say here, boys, I think we're all feeling pretty good overall right now, eh? That's a nice win from the Leafs. You know, you saw some good defense, saw some good goaltending, scoring from, multiple different lines. You got to be feeling pretty good.
I think this could be the win that changes the year. Oh, Lane doesn't agree. Okay.
I don't know. Mr. Shades is saying it's lit.
That's why he's got the sunglasses on.
Wilder's saying the Leafs are back, baby.
Yeah.
And then Leafs, they played this year, thought they took the year off.
Whoa!
Pens are trash from Wilder. Oh my gosh, comments are flying in here.
Pens are trash. Well, I don't know that.
Future advice from Key. When downloading a game, it needs a lot of mods. Don't put it on your desktop. Just learn that. Yeah, never do that, Key. You got to have that on a solid state hard drive.
I don't know anything that means, but okay.
I don't know. I'm happy they won. But it's one game. At the end of the day, it's like, yeah, that's cute. Like Dan would say, that's cute.
Yeah, but it's more than just cute because they didn't just squeeze out a win. They dominated 7-2.
I don't care.
It wasn't Columbus. It was Pittsburgh. It's a good team.
They've won and lost 5.
It doesn't. I think it doesn't matter overall if it's just one game or if it's just one game only, right? Because look, you got to look at the standings overall, right? This is only one game. So what? Big celebration. We got a game in, right?
Dan and Will both make some interesting points. But I will say it's a big one game because it was beating Pittsburgh, who you're chasing, right? And I do just feel that this is kind of the way I expected this Leaf team to play more. Capitalize on some scoring chances, get some saves when needed. But my biggest concern out of this game is Oliver Ekman-Larsson getting injured in that third period.
So you agree with Lane, Jacob? It's just one game?
I'm in the middle.
Okay.
It is only one game, but I do feel, again, I didn't see the game previous, but I feel in the other games, they've been getting a little better every game, and I felt this game, it did kind of all come together.
That Washington game wasn't terrible until the last 10 minutes of the third period, and it fell apart. Also,
Key's right. Big shout out to Sid the Kid. They gave him the 5th overall scorer, and now only 9 points behind Mario Lemieux as well.
Crazy.
You gotta love Sidney Crosby, and Wilder. I agree. Nicholas Waugh and Dakota Joshua, they both look great. That third line of Joshua,
finally got a third line.
Look, McMahon and Waugh, look solid.
Lobby.
What I will say is, if you're Craig Berube, don't touch anything. Just leave. Even the goalie. I don't care. Like literally, just you put the flex tape on. You're like, okay, walk away. Until they lose again, I'm not touched. Don't touch the lines. Don't substitute players. Just leave it the way it is, because if you can go on a 5-game winning streak with if you can start getting on a roll with the way the lines are, then you're okay. But again, it's one game.
Now, is one kick up with that theory
Nigga.
is you gotta look at Kelly Youngquo.
No, he doesn't come back in the lineup right now. You won.
What?
You
What is
won.
it?
Leave it alone.
Yeah, but don't you like Kelly Youngquo?
I do.
Sure.
It doesn't matter. You won. I don't like Max Domi. He stays on my top line now.
I think they should trade Kelly Youngquo.
I don't think they should make any moves right now.
Gotta do something, bro.
I wanted now. Look, they played arguably their best game of the year.
Yeah.
Let's see if they can ride the wave of that momentum.
But I would guess their ass.
Oh,
Whoa.
time to roll that bumper. It's gas, or is it ass, gas? Or is it ass?
Bumper cars, eh?
Now, maybe it's a little too premature, but I want to go around the room and see what you guys think. Because Dennis Hildeby looked pretty good tonight. And the Leafs have 3 goalies they can play. And, yeah, Stolarz has struggled, but we still think Stolarz is good. And, Joseph Woll has looked good. Should the Leafs try to trade one of their 3 goalies to get maximum value, to get maybe a second-line winger, maybe another top-4 defenseman to help out, and just kind of maybe trade like a Yarncroke and a Wall to like a Calgary for somebody.
Jacob's like, not great on that one.
Why not? You don't need 3
One,
goalies.
if you're trading a goalie, right now it's Stolarz. It's not Wall. Number 2, you need goaltending to go on a run. You need goaltending. Like the teams that are winning lately, they have goaltenders. I don't feel the Leafs have a franchise number 1 goalie, so I want 2 or 3 goalies I think I can put in a game and I have a chance of winning. So I'm gonna say that's donkey butt. That's ass. What are your thoughts on that?
Sorry, I was muted for a second.
No worries.
I was looking up some stats for a second, but I think it's overall it's kind of ass, because I think just based on, do you really want to do the switch like in the beginning, like towards the season? No. But on the other hand too, is that, can you trade and get a better goalie? Yes, in the end you can, but it's kind of like a 50-50 trade to me, because what's the point of having 3 goalies, right? Are you really going to use all 3? But are you going to put the best one in that plays the best game? Or you're going to give the 2 other guys another opportunity? Maybe.
But Will, while I have you there, the reason I say this is because you look at the way they have, these guys have like 10 guys. It's like a party in the gondola up there right now. They've got so many guys. It's like a party. It's like party rock, and it's like they're listening to like Party Rock is in the house tonight. They got 10 guys up there. They don't need all 10 guys hanging out and drinking Cokes and eating gummy bears. They don't need 10 guys in the gondola every day hanging out with their suits and jackets. Like, they could try to trade some of these guys. And if you feel like you're missing a second line winger right now, you think, you know what? Okay, we might be missing a first, second line guy. We might be missing another top 4 defenseman that could help out Morgan Riley instead of having Brandon Carlo. Maybe you could put like a Carlo, a Wall, and a Yarncroke, package those 3 things together and bring in another top 4 right-handed defenseman that fits this team better. That maybe, so instead of having to rely back on Carlo, you bring in someone that can kind of play with this team and fits this team's mold a little bit better.
But you got to see what Key is just saying right there. She's saying you need to keep the goalies because you never know. Good goalies are good to come by, impossible to come by.
I get that. I'm just saying. It's just a question.
So I'm going to throw this out there, right? Okay. So I've been following this one league, and they are like a lower grade down league from all the way underneath the Marlies. And this team,
So
they were struggling with their goalie, but the goalie ended up getting traded to a higher ranked team because of his standings and his averages overall in the whole entire team. So you got to think of it too, is that maybe depending, they could get rid of, hold on one sec. You could get rid of, you might want to get rid of your lowest ranking goalie and keep your two highest graded goalies, right? But
so my whole thing on that is, and I want to get to some more comments here before I give my point, but we have Wilder here saying, and I do get what you're saying there, Will, but like Wilder's saying Stolarz could be the one to go. David's saying ours due to fundamental Toronto issues. I don't think I need to explain. Wilder's pointing out they have 4 goalies because that guy currently the Russian's playing very well.
That's what I was trying to say.
And David saying he wouldn't get rid of Domi. I've been hard on Domi of late, but I mean he had a good game. But I'm going to make a key point on why I would not move on from one of these goalies. The Leafs do not. Dan, hold on. I know you're excited. I see the jazz hands, but when have the Leafs had a goalie stay healthy for them? They haven't. So you need 3 because none of these guys can play every night. We don't have a Bobrovsky that I'm confident I could start 65 to 70 games a year. You don't have a Connor Hellebuyck, who, by the way, Winnipeg about Hellebuyck. I'm pretty sure they won today, but they look terrible without him. Mm-hmm. So the worry is you trade Stolarz. 3 days later, Joseph Woll's hurt for 3 months. Now what? You're screwed, right? I understand you're saying you have a good goalie in the Marlies who has no NHL experience. I just look at it. If I think there are other pieces you can move instead of the goaltender, I think this team needs 3 serviceable goalies. If I was going to trade one today, it would be Stolarz. But I think the team needs 3 serviceable goalies. I'm more looking at this defense core that without Carlo and Tanev, they're actually looking better. I'm not saying trade Tanev. I think great, but maybe you move Carlo, you keep Murmis in the lineup, and you
Murmis has been
Carlo
good
for a true top 6 forward.
I've liked Murmis. I think he's playing.
Murmis has looked great. So, and Carlo hasn't.
Okay.
Key's pointing out, by the way, it's negative 20.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Absolutely not.
Crazy.
And yet, so I guess the Leafs do have a plethora of goalies in the system. I just mean you only have 3 goalies with legitimate NHL experience.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say here. I'm on Lane's side, 100% gas to do this trade because that Antonioff, whatever his name is, in the Marlies, I think he's going to be really good. He's looking good in Marlies right now. I think he will be getting next year or two. Stolarz has not been playing great. I love the guy, but this team is desperate. You're at the point now to keep the team the way it is. You're not going to get anywhere. So you either got to do something crazy or give up.
Oh my!
And I would trade a goalie.
Guys, do not hire Dan as a life coach.
What?
Exactly.
Do not hire Dan as a life
I would hire Dan as a life coach. Are you kidding me?
A life coach? Oh yeah, I'll be a great life coach. Live your life.
It's just, guys, there's other areas where I think you can move. Like, I think right now the Leafs have 8 NHL defensemen. Philip Myers looked fine tonight. So maybe you move on from one of these defensemen.
Yeah, but Chris Tanev's a legend. When you say you could go,
I'm not saying that.
The reason why we're losing as bad as they are is because Chris Tanev's not in the lineup. Before Chris Tanev was in the lineup, his team didn't look that bad.
I didn't say to trade Chris Tanev.
Oh, good. Okay.
But what about overall is trading? What about trading a weak player? Right.
Dan's doing his very weird dance, but yeah, But no, and I think Will's got a good point there. Maybe you move on from a Calle Jarnkrok, who is a Swiss Army knife. A lot of teams would love to plug in Calle Jarnkrok to your bottom 6.
I'm sure Nashville would love them.
You move on from Calle Jarnkrok, and
I hate
saying this, you just continue to trade more draft picks.
Yep.
And you go that road. I don't know if the Leafs to get better is to trade players that are currently playing well.
So what do you think the team overall should rebuild right now on the fly? Because
I think a retool on the fly at this point. With a win tonight, you're 4 points out of a playoff spot, but I still don't think you're completely thrilled. And Wilder's agreeing with saying it as well. You need to rebuild on the fly if possible.
Yeah.
And maybe you do need to look into, and then we'll get into Key's question in the comments after this, but then maybe you do need to look into a retool. And Wilder's making a good point. Look, we don't know if Tanev's going to play. This could be a Jake Cousins situation all over again.
Could be right.
And I hate to say that. I love Chris Tanev.
Me too.
But look, there's a chance you may not see him. So maybe, Will, you do look into moving on from guys like maybe a Nick Robertson, who I don't think is being utilized well in this team. I think you could get something pretty good for Nick Robertson as a consistent guy that can put up 15 to 20 goals, but I don't think suits a fourth line. If you trade Robertson, Yarncroke, and then maybe Brandon Carlo, all of a sudden you can bring in a player whose contract's coming up that maybe you can get as a rental guy to try to go on a push to get a true top line winger. Because I don't think Max Domi's a top line winger. I know he had 2 assists tonight. I just don't see him as the guy for the year playing with Matthews and Nyes. So if you trade Brandon Carlo and you move on from Calle Yarncroke, potentially Nick Robertson, you can probably go and get a pretty damn good player for that package.
You also got to look at his stats too. Okay, they got to look at Domi's stats because I'm looking at them right now, and Domi's stats, honestly, they could be better. My personal opinion, they could be better.
Oh, I agree with you. They could be better for sure. I just look at Domi. He knows how to play in the Toronto market. That's the number one thing. Like, we have so many problems getting guys to play in the Toronto media market, and because of his dad and because of him playing in Montreal in the past, Domi knows how to handle the Toronto media, which a lot of players don't.
I don't think that matters.
I do.
But Lane's got an interesting stat up here.
You want to know what to fix? It's right there on your screen. This is started by Luke Fox today. This is all the rankings by Sport Logic IG, the best logic site for the NHL for chances. The Leafs are literally the worst team almost in every category. Goals against, 3.63 a game. Shots against, 32, almost 32. Slot shots against, 15.5. Offensive zone possession against, 17 minutes and 15 seconds per game for the team. 29. Rush chances against, 7.4 a game. 30th. Cycle chances against, 11.7. 32nd, worst in the league. That right there tells you what has to change. This defense sucks.
I will see though, a lot of these stats I will say, and it's interesting here. I mean, I think we get a great point from the comment section here too, saying saw the Leafs give up a lot of chances even though they won 7-2.
They did, yeah.
But
he had to be stood on his head.
I really do feel though, if you look, a lot of these statistics were similar last year, but they were getting the goaltending.
Right.
These last couple games, the Leafs, even if they're not winning them, they're in them. They've got goaltending all of a sudden. So maybe you do, and I think the defenses look better of late. So maybe you do need to look at this lineup now. And even if Brandon Carlo's healthy tomorrow, I don't know if I put him in the lineup. I mean, it depends.
What about beefing up the defensive line?
So that's what I mean. Maybe because Brandon Carlo, I think we can all agree, is not really worked as well as anyone hoped.
I'm not ready on giving up on him though. Like, he was a big part of those legendary days in Boston. He got the training from Lino Kachara, the ultimate Leaf killer. I mean, I'm not ready to give up on him quite yet. I get he's not playing good, but
I do agree with David, though, here. Goaltending and reliable goaltending are two very different things. Hashtag Hildebeest.
Yeah.
And Wilder and David are both really just agreeing that, hey, Wilder and Brandon, sorry, that like goaltending was a big thing tonight. I agree with Will.
Hildebeest played great.
I agree with Will. I think you need to bring in more of a Brandon Carlo for some reason just isn't working. So you need to bring in a defenseman that can work. Now, who's available on the market? To be honest, I don't really know. I think it's too early in the year because unless maybe do you call Calgary and say, look, you don't want Rasmus Anderson. We don't want Brandon Carlo. They're both good defensemen. And maybe just you do a 1-for-1 swap.
I have a
Calgary wants a defenseman with some
Calgary
turn.
wouldn't do that.
I would.
I wouldn't.
I would. Rasmus Anderson's a great defenseman. He fits your style. He's got speed. He's a good passer. He's got a shot. He can help your top power play.
I like
That's not
Rasmus
awful.
Anderson. I just wouldn't give up Carlo for him.
I would.
But Dan, why wouldn't you give him up though?
Why wouldn't give him up?
Yeah.
Because he's got that history of playing for a championship team in the Boston Bruins, and not just a championship team, but a rough and stuff playoff style. And that's what this Maple Leaf team is missing. They're really missing the rough, physical, rumble-tumble type of old-school hockey. And Brandon Carlo is that player. He got trained from Zdeno Chara. He was on those ultimate leaf-killing teams in the Bruins back in the day. And I feel like you finally got one of those valuable pieces. And I agree it hasn't worked out. I totally agree. I would just give him one more playoff run because even last year, he wasn't that great after the trade deadline this season. He stepped up in the playoffs. And I feel like he's type of player steps up in the playoffs. I would give him one more full season, one more cup one.
One more full season?
Anyway.
No.
Okay,
No.
but Dan, you wanted to trade Joseph Woll after one bad game. Brandon Carlo, I can't even think of a good full game he's really played as a Leaf. He's been
Joseph Woll,
mediocre
that
at
one
best.
bad game Joseph Woll played, he allowed 5 goals in the game 7 in the second round. There's no
And
way.
everyone played bad that game. So by your theory, the entire team should have been traded.
Well, we'll be in a lot better shape if that was the case.
But it does bring up an interesting point when I talked about trading draft picks, and I think this is a good one to bring back Key's question. Actually, this is about the advice about the computer, which still very good advice, by the way. Here we go. So it's about the Flames' disastrous move getting rid of 4 first-round draft pick 4 years ago, and it's showing now it was a bad idea. I think we can agree to that. Like, do you guys agree when you look at the Flames and the Leafs, are they almost pulling the same kind of thing where they're just trading all their prospects or trading all their picks to try to win now, and it's kind of blowing up in their face? Yes, they got a 7-2 win today, and this is exactly the problem with, I think, Leaf fans in general. We can't just be happy with a 7-2 win. But at the end of the day, like, it is interesting when Key brings this up about the Flames bringing about those picks, and now we look how bad Calgary is. Is Toronto kind of doing the same thing?
Well,
you traded all these draft picks, you traded all these prospects, you let go of all these good players in the Marlies. All these guys who you let go, by the way, are playing well.
I hate to say it, but it is the same man making the same decisions on both teams, right? I mean, Brad truly have ruined both of these teams, you know? So you kind of
Waters finding out too. Same general manager.
Yeah.
Waters also saying he's hearing that OEL is injured, and that is a very bad.
Oh, no.
He's been playing, remarkable for the Leafs this season.
He's been in Leafs. Well, maybe I say that for gas.
That just makes you think even more now. You got to go get a defenseman. Like, you got to trade one of these guys.
So I think it's probably, if you're making a trade, it's Robertson and or Yarn Croak, because I feel you also have guys in the Marlies that I still really like that Jacob Quinlan. I really
Robertson's finally playing well.
Why would you trade Robertson?
Because he doesn't suit the fourth line, guys. He's not a fourth line player, so what's the point? We all talk about, right? Hold on, guys. We all talk about how Craig Berube isn't using the right players in the right role. Nick Robertson is an offensive forward, small with speed. Please explain how that fits a fourth line. It doesn't. So, and the thing is, if you guys want a good defenseman, you have to give up a good player to get it.
Why? Well, I always give up draft picks.
Okay, but again, look at Calgary. They're terrible. And Toronto hasn't really had any more success.
Yeah, I get that.
Well, here's a guy I'm thinking. I mean, I don't know if they would trade him. They probably wouldn't, but here's a guy I'm thinking maybe you could try to make a call for. I'm going to share him now. Wonder what you guys think. Since they're having such a bad year, what do you guys think about this one?
I would love Roman Josi. I mean, Nashville probably is going to blow up. They would love a guy like Nick Robertson in their lineup who can score.
You know, for Nashville, how bad they are, right? Like,
he's a great defensive master, him and Morgan Riley.
I don't know if they could get him, but probably not. But you never know,
That's
right?
the problem with salary cap Ward, right?
But the Leafs could make up salary cap. You got to remember, they put, look how many guys
Leafs
they
have
paid.
plenty of cap space.
Plenty. Tons now.
That's true. That's a very good
And
point.
that is true, Wilder. Robertson does add speed and scoring on the fourth line. I just don't think that's what you really need a fourth line. I don't think that's what the fourth line's built to do. Yeah, and it kind of, David's saying, fourth line is to take out the first, low key, but true as fruitcake. And the issue is, as Brandon's pointing out, look, there's a good chance they'd want Cowan. Are you
Probably.
willing to trade Easton
Well, that's what I was
Cowan?
going to say. Cowan is a piece that you could move.
No.
No. He's your
That is
future.
so
If
ass.
anything,
Doesn't
he
even deserve the bump.
should kick
Bump
Dan
him
out of the
outta
room
here.
for that one.
Jacob, bump him out of here.
Like, look, when you're
Bump
looking at a
him
smart
out.
defenseman
Bump
who
him
might
out.
be available,
Bump him out. Bump him out.
Boom! See you later.
Yeah.
everyone wants him Knies in a trade. To me, he's another untouchable.
I'm not moving Knives. No way.
Brand's like, no. But guys, I'm kind of looking at, to start looking at a list of guys who might be available. Why not Colton Parenko? He's not having a great year this year with
I would love to get him.
Blues, but played really well under Craig Berube's system. I'm just going to call this how it is. Call St. Louis and be like, Parenko's not working out here. Carlo's not working out here. Let's just everybody do the flop. Let's just swap them out and go from there. It's interesting here, though. With Kiev a comment here. Why do good coaches in the NHL get kicked around, then ultimately burned and crunched? So totally opposite to any football league.
That's a great point.
Coaches are kind of, teams expect them to have 3 to 4 year shelf lives at max. Where football, they build a program. Because remember, right, you have your practice roster, right? In football, and your main team. And that's all by one coaching staff. Versus in hockey, you have your NHL team and you have your minor league team. The minor leagues are basically like your practice roster. And so I think that's why you see more NHL coaches getting moved around. And I think it's just a different culture. I think football builds a culture where hockey is just trying to build a roster.
I'll just say something, and maybe it's not the most popular opinion, but I think when it comes to hockey and football, I think the difference is mental toughness is a big part of it. You get so many hockey players are like, oh, I don't like this coach. I'm not going to play for this coach, blah, blah, blah. And because of that, look at how many coaches the Maple Leafs have recycled, right? And we're still saying, oh, fire Craig Berube. Craig Berube has won the Stanley Cup. Craig Berube got 8th place team, worst team in NHL January, to win the Stanley Cup. I think one of the best coaches ever. And we're talking of firing him to keep Captain Underpants happy, right? Versus football, you don't really see that. You don't really see a star quarterback.
I'm calling BS on that. You're telling me
I don't like the couch.
You're telling me right now, if Tom Brady was still in the league and Tom Brady said, I don't like the coach, either fire him or I'm gone, they would have got rid of the coach.
Well, look how long Brady and Belichick stayed. I'm sure they had their fights.
Because they won a crap ton together.
Yeah. But probably in the beginning days, right? Don't forget, when Tom Brady was drafted, no one even expected him to play in the NFL. It was a very low draft pick.
Dan, you're being called out. You play for the GM, though, Dan. It's not the coach.
Well, that's a good point, too.
I think it's... the Craig Berube discussion is always a tough one for me because I look... When Kessel was the Leafs, who was their coach? It was Randy Carlyle, who was not a good coach, in my opinion, for that team, at least.
Was there Ron Wilson for the end there, too?
Oh, my gosh, even worse. But
and there was someone else.
But it's interesting, though, if I'm looking at guys who could be available, right? Like...
John Tortorella?
I'm talking defensemen.
Oh, okay.
Like, maybe even a Fierro out of the Sharks.
I like Plinko's the guy.
Like, it's tough right now, right? There's not. It's so early in the year, but you are kind of looking at non-playoff teams. Maybe you're calling Seattle about Schultz. I don't know, but
actually, if I'm Toronto, I'm calling Seattle for Jordan Eberle.
That doesn't fix your defense, bud.
I get that, but I'm just saying that's who I'm putting in this team. George, yeah, George is a great guy.
You let Torch scream at you all day, eh? But look, at the end of the day, I think the Leafs got to be happy with this win. I am curious about a bigger question in this Leaf organization right now is that if Anthony Stolarz is healthy tomorrow, is he even making the lineup, though?
Tomorrow's coming back tomorrow?
He's not. I'm just saying hypothetically. If he was back tomorrow, would you put him back in the lineup or would you stick with Woe and
Well,
Hody?
that's what my Gasso ass was about. I do have a Gasso ass.
Yeah, I know. You did that.
No, I got another one.
Oh, he's got another one. Oh my gosh, he's so picky. Wants to see the donkey's booty.
No.
Yeah, there is. Yes. Yeah. Yes, there is. That's yeah. Or is it ass?
Jacob Humies, that's what I say. I just have a couple farts in you to whip out here. That's what it really is. But anyway, so Gasso ass, is Dennis Hildeby now an NHL-ready goalie?
I don't think we've seen enough of him, but if he continues to play like that, then yes.
I'm going to say gas because we had the experience last year. I know he struggled a bit, but he did get NHL games last year. He played excellent in Marlies last year. He's played excellent in Marlies this year, and the limited NHL season that we have seen him, he's played very well. So I'm saying gas. He is an NHL goalie at this point, meaning when Stolarz comes back, you have 3 NHL goalies. What do you think, Will?
I'm so like torn between like A and B, but I'm gonna say ass on this one because I don't feel like there's enough standings, there's enough averages, there's enough. That's kind of where my head's at the moment, where you're not seeing the overall performance or the overall standings, right?
He is 6'7", which helps. 6'7".
Oh, not
even if the 6'7" still the height doesn't matter. It doesn't matter towards the standings, towards the overall team itself. Right.
I'm kind of on I'm on Will's side here. I don't think I've seen enough of Hildeby to make that decision, which is again why when Lane asks about trading goalies, I wouldn't be. But what's
Mr. Gasco, what do you think?
I'm playing Hildeby, man.
So you think Hildeby is you would say Hildeby's an NHL goalie at this point? Like you feel you're confident?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gas.
But now we got to get back to some comments here, and this is a comment I really want to dive into. Vancouver at the moment seems to be an only team in sell mode. Are we going after Hughes?
I don't know how. Hughes.
I don't know how you make it work. I still wouldn't trade Easton Cowan.
I would for Quinn Hughes.
Well, if you see my comment, I posed a question. I posed a question about it.
And you
did.
So many comments coming in.
For Cowan, whoa, maybe. Oh my gosh, I would not trade Nyes.
Yeah, but what if you got but you get an 8? But if you actually get Quinn, he is guaranteed like an 8-year contract. Like you get like that extension that day, so you don't lose him. You have him forever.
I don't know, guys. I feel Nyes is untouchable. Nyes is a unicorn.
I would trade Easton Cowan for him
now.
So
plus he can hit and fight. Like, man, we haven't seen this in years.
Yeah.
Everyone says the Leafs need toughness. Don't trade arguably your toughest guy.
No.
Second best defenseman in the NHL.
Look, I think Hughes is a great player. And again, I think if you can move, I'd be okay with trading 4 first-round picks for him if Vancouver's in a sell mode. Even though, again, we talked about earlier how it was a complete disaster for Calgary. But
do you think it would work though to take out 4 first-round picks and bring in another solid key player, that has the stats, that has the standings, that has the averages, that has, good overall playing? Because you might have to risk, A, B, C, D to get into, E, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, honestly, sometimes, like, I know we were just talking about it just a couple minutes ago, but, sometimes even, like, they might budge if you give them 4 good players, but still, you might want to look at standing stats, all that kind of stuff, add it all up saying, hey, okay, well, is this going to work for the team overall in the end?
I
think the problem is too, you could have made this trade if you didn't trade first round picks to get Scott Lawton and Brandon Carlo. And this is the issue, right? You've traded multiple first round picks, Fraser Minton, Grepchek. You didn't re-sign Steves, and you don't have a pool of players you can realistically bring in. Now, I believe the Leafs do have the cap space. I saw David asking about the Leafs cap space. I'm just checking up on Cap Friendly.
I do think
cap situation's actually pretty good right now.
There is one major hiccup of a situation that no one's really talking about. Will Quinn Hughes actually go at Toronto? I think if
that's
Quinn
the other
Hughes
question.
Gets moved, he will want to go to New Jersey to play with his brothers. I'm not even saying that in a bad thing. I think that'll be pretty cool having three brothers play in New Jersey. You look at, I don't think Sheldon Keefe is the real deal, but right now New Jersey is one of the best teams in the league, right? They have the Hughes brothers, they have defense, they have offense, they have the good goalie and Markstrom, right? We're one of the very few teams that have the full package right now. Are they playoff serious? I say no at the moment, but I mean, if you add Quinn Hughes into the mix, then maybe if it would be, right? I mean, so yeah, you have Quinn Hughes playing in Vancouver, which is a big Canadian hockey market like Toronto. Do you think he wants to get away from that and just chill in New Jersey and play with his brothers and make his $10 million, right?
I could see him going to Toronto. I just don't know what Toronto sends over. The problem is when the Leafs have everyone healthy, their cap space is very low. It's only about $3 to $4 million. With everyone on the IL, they have money. But remember, now you actually have to be under the cap for playoff time.
Would make sense. I think
so. But the thing is, if you can move Nick Robertson at $1.8 million, maybe Marcelli at 3.4, and then Brandon Carlo at 3.4 as well, now you can swing in a Quinn Hughes, right? So maybe I think to get Hughes, you can't just trade prospects and picks. You're going to have to trade NHL players. You have to ask yourself, if you trade Carlo, Robertson, Marcelli, and whatever prospect you have left and some draft picks, did you make your team better or did you make your team worse?
Quinn Hughes is one of those unique players. I didn't believe it until last year, but I think Quinn Hughes is one of those unique players. He really is a franchise player. I think just him by himself, regardless who your team is or who you have, makes the franchise that much better. I think he's that good of a player. I would even argue he's even better than Cale Makar. I think the only reason why we don't talk about Quinn Hughes where we talk about Cale Makar is because Vancouver as a whole is not nearly as good as Colorado. But you put Quinn Hughes in as good of a team as Colorado or Toronto, I think he would be a Cale Makar type of player.
What are your thoughts on that move, Will? Yeah, I don't think Will's hearing us quite right for some reason at the moment. But I'm not quite sure if I would make that trade or not. I think I understand what you're saying, Dan, but I don't really know. Dan, I'm just going to pop out for 2 seconds to try to fix something on my audio, but continue your conversation.
Yeah. I just think Quinn, can you hear me, Will?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, we can have this conversation. So basically, Mr. Will, Jacob was asking you if you would be willing to give up like Nick Robertson, Kelly Youngquo, Brandon Carlo in order to bring in a guy like Quinn Hughes Marcelli, I should say, instead of Carlo, because without giving up any roster player, you got about $4 million in cap space. You got to give up a couple players, but with giving up a couple players, you can easily afford Quinn Hughes. So do you think adding a guy like Quinn Hughes makes this Maple Leaf team better? That's basically what Jacob was saying.
I would say it could be a possibility, and it could maybe help the team overall, but eliminating other players that maybe are good in their stats, I would say. But
You can dance if you want to.
there we go. Now we're talking.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, good. Thank you, David. Good audio test.
No, but I would say going back to that is like, no, I'm frozen, but okay.
We still
anyway.
got you, Will.
Going back to kind of what I said, I would agree. You know, they could use that restructuring. Maybe it might help the team. Maybe it might not. You know, overall, do the team good. But could it do? You never know until you do a trial basis, right? You never know until you actually try it out. Well, on the other hand, it's kind of risky for the team at this time, but you never know. So,
well, I think there's just a lot of question marks right now around the Leafs, and if Vancouver is willing to trade Hughes, you just have to ask yourself, what are you willing to trade to get him? And I think you have to draw the line in the sand on a couple untouchables. And I think one of them is Easton Cowan. I hate to say it. I'd be willing to trade Morgan Riley to get Quinn Hughes. Riley might be willing to go to Vancouver.
He is fun there.
So I'd be willing. But, like, I think...
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I'm keeping Morgan Riley, but I'm trading Easton Cowan.
I'm not trading Easton Cowan. I think he's too good for the future. But we have a lot of other comments to get to. Holy
I was going to say that, Jay. You missed a lot there.
I know, Dan. It's just we're having a great conversation. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if Stolarz could play Jeremy, I would say it could be a revenge game, but I highly doubt we're going to see him Tuesday. So
that'd be pretty cool.
Interesting here. And as David pointing out, Will, to a comment that you had before, between like the FPL and the ECHL, there's got to be other players out there. So, you know, that's another way too. Look, Bobby McMahon comes from the ECHL. So maybe the Leafs need to start looking for talent there or in the NCAA a little bit more.
KHL?
KHL is another option. I want to talk about this one that Wilder's brought in. Who are you starting Tuesday? Is it Hildebeest or is it Woll? They're both playing well.
Hildebeest. You don't touch it. You leave it alone right now. You just you just had a great game. You just won by your biggest margin. You just played your best game overall. You leave the lineup. You don't touch it. That's my opinion. We talk about bad coaching. It'd be terrible coaching right now for him to be like, well, we're going to take out Joshua. We're going to move Josh for fourth line. And we're going to move Robertson back to the first. Like, just leave. You know what? You had a good game tonight. You won by a large margin. Let's leave it for another. See what happens next game. Next game doesn't go so well. You lose 5-2. Can you jumble the lines? But you won. You got 2 points tonight. Just leave it. Leave the goalie too.
My only concern is I don't know how comfortable I am playing Hildeby against Florida. Just of the pure mayhem the Florida Panthers games always are.
Because it's against Florida, I'm playing Woll because Woll lost that game 7 against the Panthers, right? So he wants to get some revenge against Florida, number one. Number two, if this team somehow magically does make the playoffs, you want to trust Joseph Woll in the playoffs against Florida. I wouldn't, but he's going to want to prove that you can. So for those reasons, I'm playing Joseph Woll.
I think Will lost connection with us, so maybe he'll be able to make it back. Actually, he just says he has to step out for a minute. But yeah, I'm probably going... You know what? I'm going to change my mind because I'm looking at the rest of your schedule here coming up a little bit, and I'm going Hildeby against Florida because I think you need Woll against Carolina, and I'd like to give Woll a bit more of a rest. I think Hildeby earned another start because you have Carolina and you have Montreal next. As your next 3 games are Florida, Carolina, Montreal. I think you're probably going to want Hildeby in at least one of them. So I would actually go Dennis Hildeby against Florida, give him back-to-back starts for the first time in his career. Because also, I think you got to make a decision how you feel about potentially how you're feeling about Hildeby being your backup long term. And in the comment sections here, Brandon wants to see Woll get the start. Woll has done nothing to lose the net. That's another interesting point.
I agree with Brandon, yeah.
But Brandon does not agree with you, Dan. Bro, Cowan over Riley easily.
Yeah.
But I kind of almost go back to what Lane said was why switch a good goalie at the start, right? Why not leave him in? Why take him out? It's just going to be a trial. Say, hey, if he's messing up, then put the backup in, right? Let him do what he's good for. Don't take him out.
Yeah, maybe
I think it was any other team, I would agree with you guys. But I just think Woll wants to be proven against Florida.
I don't know, boys. I kind of want to just leave the team alone.
I mean, Woll's Game 7 was like Jake Gardner's Game 7 against Boston.
Dan, we've moved on from Game 7. You can't.
No, we haven't.
Yes, we have. You can't. You got to move on. You got to move on, bud. It's a fast world. Get over it. Build a bridge. Like, look, you are visibly putting Lane in pain by talking about Game 7. But look, if it's me, I think I'm on Will's side, and I'm going with Hildeby. I'm not even saying that I feel that that he's stolen the net. I just think he's earned back-to-back starts to see what he can actually do, because you got to try to see what this guy can do, because when Stolarz is back, you have a decision you got to make, and you got to figure out if these guys can play in back-to-back games.
The other thing, too, I could see is, say, for example, Hildeby gets hurt, right?
Mm-hmm.
You still have Woll as an option. But the other thing, too, is that the coach could say, hey, Hildeby is not doing that well. I want to see how Woll will do. Let's do it as a trial. Let's do it in this game or this period. And say, hey, let me throw Woll in and see what Woll will do, right? Give him that chance, that opportunity to show himself. So it's just building him up. It's building Woll up to see, hey, can he actually do what he's meant to do? But if the Leafs are starting to suck with Hildeby in, take him out. Let's put Woll in. Let's see what happens. Let's change that lineup. Let's do that. All the necessary changes you need to do. You need to change, right? You don't know until you try it.
You know what, though? I think, and I'm not even saying the last game was Woll's fault. Woll lost, Hildeby won. Play Hildeby.
Yes.
You need the points.
Yes.
Right?
No, it's not a huge it's not what's the risk, right? Who cares? They mixed up one game. Okay. I could see it being multiple games. So, it's just like, okay, hey, he's not doing good. He's not done us well for the last 2 games now. Okay, well, hey, let's put Woll in and see what Woll can do. If Woll improves, let's keep Woll as the main starting goalie and take Hildeby out and put him as a backup in case Woll needs it, right? And then you go down the line, right?
I agree with you.
You have another goalie in line, right? Say, for example, Woll gets hurt. Hildeby gets hurt. Throw in the backup goalie. Right?
I think you got to give Hildeby a bit of a run to see what he can do. And he's won his last game. I think you give him a start. I do agree in the comment section. It's never funny about stepping in dog poop. I would also agree with that. And it's interesting here. He's been, another comment saying Woll's also sucks in the crease. He's leaving big holes. So, I mean, there are times, Woll does let in a weak goal. We haven't seen Hildeby let in that weak goal, really, right?
That's a good point.
But an interesting comment here from me in Toronto. Phenomenal page, by the way. Give them a follow.
Huge, big news coming
to speak on. Are we seeing this as a change for the Leafs or a Band-Aid on a waterfall of issues?
Oh,
look, it's only
maybe someone's trying to save me. Oh, that's the wrong song. Go.
Yeah, I don't know what he was talking about.
And
then Keith brought an interesting comment. We'll go to next, but I do want to say for Mr. Me in Toronto. Look, it's too early to tell. If let's say the Leafs beat Florida, beat Carolina, and beat Montreal, go on a 4-game winning streak, then I think that this is the turn. If they win this game 7-2, and then Florida spanks them 5-1, Carolina spanks them 5-2, and then Montreal spanks them 4-1, no one cares anymore.
Yeah, literally.
Right? I want they've gotten a strong win, but at the end of the day, whether you win 7-2 or 3-2, it only counts as 2 points, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So let's see them string some wins together. Then I can answer that question better.
Yeah, I would say I would jump on and say the same thing. Is there a chance for the Leafs? We don't know, right? Because it's first starting out. And it could be a band-aid we're putting on a bunch of issues? Maybe. We don't know, right? We don't know how Hildeby is going to do. As we said, we don't know things. But honestly, overall, like we said, I think the defensive line needs to change. Whatever needs to be done there. But let's not make too many sudden changes right now at this moment. Is it bad to make sudden changes right now? No. Is it a good thing? Could be. I'm not saying we need to put a band-aid on everything. We're just overall looking at the overall picture of the team, right? It's as I said, it just kind of varies, right? So we need to wait and see how the Leafs are gonna start this, season. We don't know. We don't know how they're gonna do. They did well this game. Are they gonna do well continuing the game? We don't know until, and then maybe things need to be changed, right? So it's just kind of like a 50-50 kind of thing where don't make any changes at this moment. Leave it as it is. But okay, hey, do we want to test things out? We could. Do we say, hey, Hildeby's doing good, but then he starts not doing good for the next couple games, and they need to make that improvement? Yeah, let's throw Wool in. Let's see what he can do. Does the team overall improve? Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe. We don't know. Does the defensive line need to change? Yeah, they definitely do, for sure. I can definitely tell you just overall they need to change. Does the starting lineup, do they need to change? I watched a game yesterday, and I was like, this whole entire starting lineup needs to change. They were failing the first period. They failed the second period. Why not change the starting lineup? Did the coach want to? No. You know what I heard? That the coach went into the locker room during the in between, and he ripped the whole team apart and said, "Hey, we need to make some improvements here. You guys are playing like babies out there."
Pretty much, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so it's the Leafs are in a weird, fragile situation where I think we really got to see, as it's interesting in the comments, and don't worry, Key, we will get to yours because I love a point you're bringing in. But next 3 games might honestly be the season. Is this where the Leafs turn the corner, or is this where it falls apart quickly? Dan, everyone's loving your singing.
Oh, thank you. I got the wrong song, but hey.
Oasis, she's got to finish it, and he's got to finish it now, including the dance. I don't think we want to hear Dan sing Wonderwall the entire
song. Don't go chasing waterfalls.
You just changed songs, Dan. I don't know what you're
Jacob,
you're on.
Can you mute his mic, please?
But it's interesting here. I want to bring up a conversation from Keeks. I know she's been trying to get this in. I was talking about this a couple weeks ago on a show. The excitement people sitting down to watch a hockey game all day and all night just isn't there. And that is true. We don't see people to watch. Yeah, it's not like football where people watch sports they drink beer at 9 a.m. and they finish watching football at 1 a.m. the next day.
Well, if I drink beer, I would do that for hockey.
How we've secretly turned Key into an Argo lover, but doesn't feel anything about the Leaf. Part of that has to do with the game itself, not just drawing in the excitement. And I'm going to say this. I think, Key, to bring in your point, one of the reasons why you don't get the same cult following for hockey versus football. Going to a hockey game, you go for the game, you go home. Football, you get up in the morning, you meet up with the boys, then you go tailgating. Well, first you hit a bar before you even hit the tailgate. Then you go to the tailgate. Then you go to the game. Then you go to a bar after the game to watch whatever game's on next. And it is literally an entire day. Well, hockey, that culture, it's just not the same culture. When you go to a Leaf game, you don't go down to the ACC at 9 o'clock in the morning. When you go to a Argo game or a Ticat game or a Rider game, or whatever game, or a Buffalo Bills game in the NFL, you are literally tailgating from 8 a.m. and you're leaving that stadium at midnight.
Well, at least to change that.
But it's just not the hockey culture.
It should be.
So but that's why I do feel like you don't. also, too, I don't feel hockey players do as good of a job connecting with their fans as football players do. Like, football players go out in the community a lot more. Like, for example, if you saw a Leaf walking down the street, would you approach them? Dan, you might, because that's your personality. A lot of other people won't. But when you see a football player, how many times do you see football players and they just stop and sign autographs? Look at Pinball Clemens for the Toronto Argos, right? He will stop, sign autographs, talk all day. Are you going to see Craig Berube do the same thing?
He did for Lane.
Or he did for Lane for one person. Do you see Steve Yzerman doing the same thing? Martin St. Louis doing the same thing? You don't. It's a completely different culture.
I think to bring up to Key's point when he talks about the Argos versus the Leafs, I think one reason why the Argos have a little more Argos have less fans than the Leafs, obviously, but the Argo fans are way stronger than Leaf fans.
It's not a corporate crowd.
And I think that's because the Argos won recently. The Leafs haven't won in our lifetimes, right? So I think that's one part of that puzzle.
And it's interesting. David's basically saying hockey, the crowds are more of a violent sport. Unless it's Montreal and cars are getting flipped and burned and whatnot. And then me in Toronto, hockey is a bar sport. Football is a tailgate all day sport. Watching golf on TV is for people who need to question their life choices.
Oh, out.
But no, it is interesting, right? And Lane's pointing out that basketball has a bad fan community as well. I mean, you get guys like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I'm not just saying he's Canadian and from the Hammer. But also because you're not seeing that same culture for basketball players. A lot of them don't even want to talk to their fans at all, which is a huge problem. And Key wants to add to this conversation about, is there any ways to make the games become more fast paced in regulation? And my big thing is, and Will, I would love your take on this because Dan gets so angry at this.
Hockey's like the fastest sport out there.
No, it's not. Not regular season compared to playoffs.
I was at a game last night that was 3.5 hours.
And that's my point. Hockey
What game was that?
What's that?
What game?
Oh, it was the game I told you I was at last night was a FC, it's like the FCHL, I think.
Oh, the ECHL?
Something like that.
Okay, interesting.
It was the lower team.
Okay.
And they were still going 20-minute periods, but then you have like the 20-minute ice time in between. So it adds up, right? To resurface the ice, and then now the team's got to come back on.
Maybe hockey needs shorter intermissions. In junior hockey, like the OJHL, for example, there's 16-minute intermissions. Dumb as that sounds, you get the game done a lot quicker. And I'm going to point this out too. And I really want Will's take on this.
Dead time in between plays.
But I really want Will's take on this because Dan absolutely hates this take. I want less regular season games and more playoff games because the playoff games are way more exciting and the players are actually give a crap.
Okay, so going back to what Dan said for a quick second, it is the FPHL.
Okay, so I believe that's what David's talking about too. At the Federal Prospects isn't a bad league at all.
No, it's not a bad league. I would say from the team that I saw, they did have their hiccups at the starting of the season. Mm-hmm. Okay, which it was a brand new team. They're brand new to the area. They're brand new starting. So I knew there was going to be some hiccups. Honestly, since then, have they improved? Yeah, overall. But have they made some bad choices here recently? Yes. Exactly what we're going back to is that they took out a really good goalie. And look, he's up for drafting into one of the highest ranking NHL teams out there.
Wow. So
just because this team kicked him out the door and now he's being drafted to a higher ranked team. And sorry, I can't remember what Jacob said. I went off.
Oh, no, it's okay. We're just talking about, and this is the take that Dan hates that I love, because we're talking about trying to make games, and I agree with you, Will. Sometimes teams do get rid of players at the wrong time. But we're talking about, I want to see less regular season hockey games and more playoff hockey games. Give me 70 regular season games and an extra full round of playoffs.
Yeah, I would say I agree with you, Jacob, on that. And just because, from experience and going back to, mine and your good old days of the Barry Colts days,
Yeah.
you know how it is. And, it's one of those, like, I feel like I'm on board with you on that. Like, I feel like there should be more end power. Wait, my brain is having a brain fart, but
No
anyway.
worries, like more playoff games, you mean?
More playoffs, yes. More playoff games than regular season games.
Why
Right.
not both? Why not add
Because the
enough
season's
fifth round?
already too long. You
Yeah.
get fatigue.
Like,
No
I'm
this-
one
okay with
cares
that.
about the NHL until like January, realistically.
Yeah, this one team that the team I saw last night, their season is literally 8 months. And they stop for 4 months and then they're back in it again. So it's like constant. Like, it's like I'd rather be like, oh, like this is boring. Okay. And honestly, too, sometimes it's the seasons. Like, for example, like, hey, you don't want to slam these guys 3 games back to back to back to back to back in one weekend. They get all tired, and then they start poor performing. Do you want to do that to them? No.
No, it's terrible to watch.
It's terrible, and I've seen it, experience. Let them at least have 1-2 games, like I'd say most 2 games a weekend, not 3. But yeah, let's go fully playoff and less regular season games overall.
Because it's interesting, and I think the comment section here, a key saying, and honestly couldn't hurt at all. I love college football, and adding a playoff round, and it still isn't enough. But that's the thing. Like, you look college football, when they wanted more games, they didn't add more regular season games. They added more playoff games. Playoffs is where it matters, right? As me and Toronto was saying, playoff games are more exciting, but the whole season should be exciting as well with rivalries and good competition.
Yes.
Which the Leafs are lacking right now. The vibe is hurting for the Leafs. So maybe do we need to see less Toronto versus Utah, more Toronto versus Ottawa?
That's what I'm saying.
Less Toronto versus Nashville, more Toronto versus Montreal.
That's what
More
I'm
versus
saying.
Boston. So maybe it's the scheduling system, which I do agree would be a long season for the Buds, but maybe it is a scheduling issue. Like, remember the one year where we saw the Battle of Alberta like 8 times? That was those teams literally were trying to kill each other on the ice, and that was exciting hockey. So
Arguably the best
stick
hockey.
with the 82
Minus
game.
the fans in the arena, it was arguably the best hockey we've ever seen that year. Well, that was the year the Leafs would have won the cup. Now, if they did, it would have been a fake cup, but still, I mean, that was a tremendous year. But you are seeing the rivalries play 8 times a year. So I'm okay adding more playoffs, but as you're adding more and more teams to the league, because we recently added more teams. If we're talking about even adding more teams in the next 3 or 5 years, you gotta add more games to the schedule. I'm okay cutting out preseason games. I'm okay cutting more of those games. That's having 2 or 3.
Actually, I think we need more preseason games so teams actually look ready at the start of the season.
Yeah, instead of throwing them in exactly to the regular season.
Because now teams just don't look ready. They don't know their lines. You have guys playing 2 games because you can't play Austin Matthews every game. You got to figure out all these other guys. You're trying to figure out where they're going.
And they always have sloppiness.
Yeah, so maybe we get a longer, or maybe we get more like scrimmage games, even where like maybe tell the teams they need to do more open scrimmage games, kind of like where we see in football. You see like the blue and white type thing, or the Barry Colts. They always do that blue and white game, but it's interesting.
I would do more of those too.
Lane's also bringing up when he's talking community that baseball is top notch for fans. I would agree to that as well.
Yeah,
baseball
100%.
players do seem to take the time. And I think that could be part of the reason why there's a disconnect between fans and the game in hockey. I don't think you see enough of NHLers actually taking the time in the off season too to actually go out and meet fans, right? And maybe too, like, I think you're more connected in football and baseball because you can actually have a conversation with these. You wouldn't believe football players who I've messaged on Instagram who've actually answered me. You'll never get a hockey player answering you on social media when you send them a DM. Or at least not very often. where like I've messaged, professional football players and they actually have messaged me back saying like, hey, thanks or whatever. And even just a quick little 2-word message. I think it's a way to connect with your fans a lot better.
Yeah,
So that could be a way to make you feel more connected to the games. I think if fans are more connected to the players, fans are then more connected to the game.
Okay,
do you guys think that the problem I see this as a trending problem is that the pricing of games? Because for example, I heard a lot of fans say last night, they're like, this game is way too overpriced for what we're seeing.
Well, I think we're seeing that a lot in the Maple Leaf market just because it's the mecca of hockey. But then you go to an Ottawa Senators game, for example, you can easily get in for like $50, even cheaper than that. If you look at like,
but can people afford? But Dan, we even say $50 a ticket, okay? Family of 4, 200. They got to eat, right?
Yeah.
So family of 4, another. It's not so much the ticket prices, Dan. We went to a Jays game and to buy a pizza it would have been $64 if we bought.
No, I understand that, but I'm
right?
saying
So
you look at like a Columbus game, a Tampa game,
but the
Buffalo
food's
game,
the same problem. You're
getting in for $20.
Okay, but now I got to spend $100 to feed my kid, and of course they want a souvenir. So now I got to spend $100. I got to spend like $80 on a little Toronto Maple Leaf doo-doop. And that's the big issue. I do agree with Will. I think a big part of the reason why maybe fans aren't as connected, because if you don't have the whole tailgating way, you got to have another way to get it connected. So make it more family oriented. Maybe make it where there's more passes where you get like your tickets, your meal. Like if a family of 4 could go to a game, get their tickets and get their meal for under $200, then maybe you get more people feeling connected, like in an NHL level. And even talk about ticket prices. Have you seen how much it is to go to an OHL game now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah,
like you're
great.
spending easily like $40 a ticket to go see the Barrie Colts.
But
and that's nothing against the Barrie Colts, right? It's great hockey. But again, family's a family of 4. For me to take, if I had kids, thankfully I don't, at least not to my knowledge. I'm kidding. But like, if you want to take a family of 4 out to a Colts game in the OHL, you're easily dropping $200.
Okay, here's the thing you guys are forgetting, though. It kind of adds a key comment and question why hockey is less fan-friendly than the other sports. So I'm taking sports marketing at Seneca, York right now, and I had a student ask a question who's new at Canada, and because we're talking about Timbits hockey. And he's like, why do you have charities supporting families for hockey? You don't see charities supporting other sports for kids as much. And I agree with that. We don't see as many. We do see some, with Snoop Dogg's football, for example. There were some basketball ones and soccer, but not as much as hockey. And the reason why we see hockey is the most expensive sport to get into out of the major sports. You got to pay for ice time. You got to pay for equipment. You got to pay maintenance of the arena and all this stuff. And the other thing you guys are forgetting about is out of all the major sports, baseball, football, basketball, hockey makes the least amount of money out of those major sports. And it costs the most amount of money to upkeep. So when you're talking about doing less games, that's cutting more revenue. And you need to get this all up. And I think that's one reason why hockey is less accessible to fans than other sports, is because it's the most expensive sport to get into, right? Like anyone can pick up a soccer ball and kick a soccer ball in yard, or full football yard, or full basketball in the driveway. Not anyone can pick up a $200 set of skates and go skating on the rink. And, maybe buy a $300 hockey stick, right? And, $100 shoulder pads and a, $20 hockey puck and a $200 hockey net, right? Hockey is by far the most expensive. So I think we have to make it more accessible. And maybe that's why you see a lot of these players not as fan interactive. I shouldn't say this, but it's the truth. Hockey players, a lot of them grew up more in a privileged life because it's such an expensive sport versus the other teams are just regular people because it's a regular sport, right? So I think this is why you need more regular season games. And if you had more regular season games, you could drop the price.
They wouldn't drop the price
because there's more and more out there. You can drop the price of tickets and have more family-friendly days and family-friendly atmospheres and stuff like that.
I don't see them dropping the price just because they added more games. You look at the Argos, we lose 3 home games and the tickets went up. Now, mind you, only went up $1 a game and everyone's kind of flipping out. But I mean, I think a big part of it, I really do think the big part of it is building a community. And I don't think hockey and
What up, Keith's
basketball.
comment back there was a good one about golf.
Okay, that was true.
Whoa.
Dan's getting angry here. Dan gets testy at 11:09 at night. But I'm just looking at this. I look at hockey, and I think they need to do a better job of just more community driven. You look, the Leafs do like the one community practice a year. The Argos, I can go watch any practice I want. The NFL's the
Dan
same
raises
way.
a good point. See, Key agrees with me.
The invisible creature in this is golf, and golf has tons of charities like that too. So Dan does raise a good point there. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, golf is a prime example, right? Golf is a very expensive sport to get into because of price of clubs and bags. And, look how much it is to go to a golf course, Jacob, hit 9 holes, right? Renting the golf cart, and then going driving lanes and hitting balls, right? Golf balls themselves are a fortune,
So what I mean is but I really think it's up to like the teams and organizations to build a better community. If you want more fan engagement, because it's not like football is cheap. Like, I get it's cheap to buy a football, but if you actually want to play football competitively, my gosh.
Oh, for sure. How much, like $1,000? No, I agree with that. Oh,
So,
look how, the Florida Panthers have so many, they support so many kids getting involved in hockey down in Florida. That's what really built the fan base down there.
But like, you look at
So,
Toronto,
go ahead,
they do like one fan open practice a year, and that's it.
So I did some research while you guys were talking, and to go to a Pittsburgh Penguins game, okay, you're talking good seats for $38. Okay, so this is $38 for Penguin seats. Okay, Pittsburgh Penguin seats.
Wow.
But to go to a Barrie Colts game, you're looking at $21 a ticket.
That's because we have the monopoly money. Our money's not worth anything.
Okay, Dan.
Yeah.
But
Will does bring up a good point. Maybe this is why even some of these beer rinks aren't filling up as much. When you look at how versus an Ottawa 67s game, we'll say versus an Ottawa Senators. If I can go to the Sens for around the same price, I'm probably going to go watch an NHL game over an OHL game.
But Jacob, I do agree with you though, is that there should be like I know I've seen it a little bit more here recently, but a lot of teams are doing for example, I'm going to say the Columbus Blue Jackets. They are doing a deal where you get you do 11, 12 games and you get a package deal. So you pay that up front. I know a good friend of mine, he told me, he said he got a good package deal at the starting of the season where he can go and he picks his games, which games he wants to go to. And maybe that might be a good idea for like, hey, okay, maybe this family, they want to go out maybe once a month and they want this good family package deal. Maybe they could get that deal for once a month saying, okay, we're going to include everything into this package. So let's get them good seats. Let's get them some good food. Let's put them in a good seat for under $200 for a family of 4, right? Instead of personally me, I'm going over there and I'm paying $38 just to sit there, and I have to go pay almost $100 in almost food. Like, I remember I went to a baseball game just before the season closed, and I think I spent probably $200 easily there just on tickets and food just by myself.
I can believe it.
See, I always pre-eat. I get the food beforehand.
Yeah, but Dan, that's not part of it. But again, you're talking about as an adult. But when you take your kids, they want the full experience. And now you're spending.
Starve. That's real life, bro.
Yeah, it's not how it works. Hey, you know what? Here, I agree with me in Toronto. Free round of beer on the Leafs night. There we go. That'll boost sales.
Yeah. Well, remember Tampa Bay tried that, and Mad Mothers Against Drivers got pretty angry about it.
But again, Keith's pointed out too, though, right? It's like a bit funny, cruel. These venues are getting smarter about concessions. Yes. They're putting booze everywhere. People want the buzz. Once they get the buzz, they buy more snacks, and that's also very true.
Yes.
But I'm just saying, I honestly think you build community, the fans will come. Like, this is going to be a weird example, but I think people will get it here. Look at our podcast, for example. We've built a community, and more people come and enjoy the show. They join the comment section. We have someone like Will who's joining us on the show for the first time tonight. And it's a difference with that. We built a community, right? Building a community is super important. Wouldn't you agree, Dan? Like, football builds a community. I don't think hockey does.
No.
100% community's everything, right? In football, same with soccer in Europe, they're kind of like the best sports of building the community. And hockey, I guess you're right, hockey's a little behind that.
Like, even look, for example, the Toronto Maple Leafs they're now doing tours of the ACC. They've done them before. We took them with a good friend of ours, and I think they were around $25 a ticket before. They are now $90 a ticket because now they're premium tours. But when I messaged them saying, what's the difference in the tour? I never got a response.
Ouch, calling them out.
So that basically tells me either one, nobody checks their email. And I do agree. Thank you. Me and Toronto, best podcast ever, the Analyst Desk.
Yeah.
But either nobody checks their email or there's no difference. And they just want to charge. Now, look, so if I want to take my kids to even just tour the damn rink, I'm going to have to spend like almost $400 just to tour the damn rink.
It is worth it. It was an amazing experience.
Dan, sure, but a lot of people just can't afford it. And being able to at least tour the rink was a way to build that community. And Lane saying, even when they did that in Burlington, it was empty. I'm not sure what you're quite referring to, Lane. So maybe you can clarify. But I don't know. I just think they got to build more community, maybe more meet and greets with the players. And I'm not talking about players who played in 1865. I mean, players who played now. Look, I love Wendell Clark. And I'm telling you right now, a 12-year-old kid doesn't care about meeting Wendell Clark. They want to meet Austin Matthews.
Mm-hmm.
They want to meet Matty Nyes. Maybe start putting it in, like in football, it's in your contract for the Argos at least, that you have to do so many fan engagement things.
Right.
You have to go to so many charity events.
Well, pinball is a huge believer in that, right?
So maybe the Leafs, maybe in the NHL and the new CBAs, they need to start putting it into these players. Look, you need to do more. Oh, and actually, Lane, I would disagree with you a little bit that no one came to the hometown hockey in Burlington. I worked that weekend. It was very busy. We had in that weekend, I remember, we had about 6,000 people go through our booth in 2 days.
We did work out when we were in the Dodge booth.
Absolutely.
But
Lane, you thought it was
say,
Lane, because you didn't visit Dan and I. If you came to our booth, I was hooting and hollering at people.
Oh, we were having fun. But I will say about hockey players, well, like I can name hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of examples of hockey players that do give back to the community, but it's more on their own personal level versus a team level. Like you look at Austin Matthews does a lot of work with Sick Children's Hospital, for example.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alexander Ovechkin, when he's bored, he'll go and deliver random people's pizzas to people's houses. He doesn't just do that for the cameras. He's been doing that for years. If he's bored, he'll go out of the city and deliver pizza just to meet the fans, right? Sidney Crosby, season ticket holder, he will personally deliver the season tickets to the fans, right? So you do have some examples of players doing that, but I think the difference is hockey players doing it more on their own level versus a team level. Now, the Maple Leafs do have a day where every year the whole team goes to sick kids and volunteers. But yeah, that's the thing. It's one day.
That's right? The problem. And I see the Argos do it 10 or 12 times a year.
Right, yeah.
Right? I just think that if you want,
I get the players are busy.
Everyone's busy. Get over it. These CFL players, a lot of them are working a second job and they're making the time.
That's true, yeah. Look at Chad Kelly. He does a lot giving back to the community.
I just look at it. It's interesting here. Sorry, Lane, I didn't mean to bring up your comment again. I accidentally bumped my mouse. It was from Key
here. There's another comment.
Saying, you guys have, Dan, I will get to them. It's a busy show. You guys have the hockey. You guys have hockey beat in this way. When you guys have a show, I sometimes break a leg running to listen to the show I know you guys are on. That says a lot. NHL, you guys are on par with the music community. Actually, that's interesting. So a lot of music artists, again, it's very hit and miss.
Right. That's a good point.
So I just think maybe the NHL needs, like Dan, you talk about the Leafs do like one open practice. The Argos will literally do their practice, and most football teams do this, and then you will literally be able to go out and talk to these players. And Lane pointed out, I apologize, I didn't get this comment up, but Phil Edmonds told me curling is amazing. Phil Edmonds, great guy. He also does the call with Lane on the Burlington Cougars. He goes out, meets, and gets every team's autograph. Yeah, I've worked a lot of curling tournaments.
Yeah,
and
they're awesome for that.
I've met a lot of big curlers, and you know what? They seem to be really nice people. Like Brad Jacobs, one of the nicest guys I've ever met.
Glenn Howard, you met?
Sault Ste. Marie boy. And look,
Glenn Howard,
another one. And like these curlers will actually take the time. Never mind sign an autograph. They'll go into the club and have a beer with you.
Yeah, very cool.
And again, mate, I'm not saying hockey players need to stay at the rink till 4 a.m.
Yeah.
But they could do a little bit more to give back to their fans. And I think especially MLSC, and I'm using this more of an example with the Leafs because they're my local team. I think they need to do more current players going to events. Like when I did an event about 5 years ago, and Thomas Caberlet was there signing autographs. I love Thomas Caberlet. But I'm not being awful. It's mostly middle-aged women there because they thought he was a nice-looking guy, which he is a nice-looking guy.
He is good-looking.
But that's not how you bring in a younger fan base. You need to bring in the Morgan Riley, not the Thomas Caberlet. Bring in the Austin Matthews, not the Wendell Clark. And I love Wendell Clark, by the way. Like, that guy was incredible. But at the same time, it's not what the fans want. And maybe it needs to be in the contracts that they have to do more of these things. And I think that's why, with Keith's point, we just don't see fans attached to hockey the same way we do to football. And it's interesting, though. Like Lane says, you do see Sid out signing autographs outside odd times. Not sure if he still does. I've heard Crosby's another one that's good. I just mean the league as a whole, right? Like you go to All-Star Weekend, prime example, last All-Star Weekend they did. Everything was all roped off, so you couldn't even get near the players while they were walking across the street. Never mind being able to try to get an autograph. Like you got to make it more community. Sure, yeah, they do a shift at Tim's. I mean, okay. But again, that's more just for cameras than anything else, and that's coming from someone who works in that field. But David brings up too, Crosby on his toes tonight. What you guys still got at all? Yeah, I mean, Crosby, I still think is the best player in the NHL.
Well, we're kind of backtracking, but I wanted to bring this up actually. So thanks, David, for giving me a leeway here. You guys are saying less regular season games. How excited were we to see Sidney Crosby climb up in the points total, right? If we have less regular season games, we're going to get less and less of that.
But then we'll get more playoff totals being broken. Don't you want to see playoff point records being broken?
Oh, for sure I do. I'm saying,
mind you, what I want will never happen because they make way too much money on a long. If anything, they're going to make the regular season even longer in 84. They're going to get up to 90 games, 100 games.
Yeah,
because you want all the revenue, right? The more money they can make, the higher the cap goes up, the more the players can get paid. Like it all makes sense. That's why baseball, in my opinion, the baseball season's about 60 games too long. But at the end of the day, they're not going to cut all those games. Pardon?
But look how successful it is. The Blue Jays just signed the star pitcher for a $210 million contract.
But I mean, that's my point. They're not going to ever cut those games because they make too much money.
That's what I'm saying. If we need to add another playoff round, so 5 playoff rounds and more regular season games. And if we play until July.
But Dan,
August,
no one are already getting. I mean, what Dan is saying is more likely to happen than what I want to happen. Because at the end of the day, Dan's thinking it from mind of a business. I'm thinking of the product on the ice. I think the product on the ice is better if there's less games and more meaningful games. But at the end of the day, it's all about revenue. And the longer the season can go, mind you, though, the Stanley Cup playoffs do nowhere near the numbers of people can laugh at me. It doesn't do CFL playoff numbers. It doesn't do NFL playoff numbers. It doesn't do baseball playoff numbers.
You're never going to have hockey do one game.
Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals did not do as well as the Grey Cup.
But the one thing, though, is that we get in this like pickle of, hey, do we take down the regular season games? But here's one key point for you guys is that, hey, you know, it helps with the team's overall performance. Like they get more practice time in. They get more less screw ups, more improvements, right? So, say for example, they're slammed, like as I said earlier, they're slammed with 3 games back to back, Friday, Saturday, Sunday game.
Right.
You know, they're not going to want to come back on ice Monday morning and be like, hey, I want to come back on ice Monday morning. Let's practice this out. No, they would be more likely to be okay with, hey, we have 2 games maybe this weekend. You know, let's take a break Sunday. Let's come back Monday on the ice and look at what we can improve on from Friday and Saturday night's game.
Right.
You know, so it's better off scrunching down the regular season and then maybe putting a couple more preseason games in for the teams to actually rule everything out that they have, you know, and see where everybody's at. Because, you know, the lineup changes, you get different players, you get different feels. Each player is different. They play different. They shoot different. They pass different. They're more aggressive differently. You know, the way that their mind thinks on the ice is way different compared to how it is. But I think overall scrunching that regular season down might actually help the overall team be able to develop and improve more on stats, on everything like that.
I see your point, Will. I really do, but I actually disagree. Jacob wants to pull up David's comment that just came in. David was talking about NHL legend here.
You want
Mr. Son Avery. Now, here's my point about Son Avery. If we had less regular season games, we would have less injuries. And if we had less injuries, we would have a guy like Son Avery not even get a chance to play in the NHL. And like him or lump him, he made a huge impact to the NHL and still does to this day. I follow him on Instagram. He has over 1 million followers on Instagram.
Does he want a cookie?
Followers than most NHL.
So you're telling me, Dan, you want Sean Avery to get more games, and you want to see Austin Matthews miss 20 games because as Will
No,
pointed
that's
out,
not what I'm saying.
But Dan, they're playing 3 games in 6 nights. Players are getting injured, and we're not seeing the top guys out every night. That's like saying football should start playing twice a week. It'd be insane.
But do you see his stats though, Dan? Do you see his stats, his performance, his overall, how much he's produced while he's been on the ice? Do you see his stats?
Do we saw Avery?
His stats weren't that great.
No. And as I said, see, Jacob, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do. I totally get it, bud, because it's like, I don't want to see Sean Avery play. I want to see Austin Matthews play.
But I'm just saying, whether stats or not, he did make an impact. Same with Ryan Reeves. He's made an impact. Same with Ty Domi.
Ryan Reeves has the stats, though, from all his fights. Dan, fighting's a stat.
Right.
But here's an interesting point here. I want to bring this up from me in Toronto. I can't believe it, guys. We've been on live for almost an hour and a half now. We're rocking and rolling tonight, boys.
Let's go.
But do you think they should do more games midday or early on? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
this is a big pet peeve of mine. Why can't I go watch a Leaf game at 3:00 in the afternoon? Yeah. Again, you want people to get involved. You want families. And then you guys might be thinking it's crazy. I keep talking about getting families involved, but you get a kid as a fan, you have a fan for the next 80 years.
100%.
And you get that where, like, I can take a game at 3:00. I'd love to go watch a Leaf game on Christmas Day instead of having to deal with people. That sounds great.
The Leafs only do have 1 day a year of the next generation game, right? They play a game in the afternoon around the Christmas break. But I'm surprised you didn't bring this up, Jacob. But the reason why the Maple Leafs always play at 7 is because of TV weight.
Oh, I know. Primetime TV. That's the other
prime time. So maybe they don't play the Maple Leafs in the afternoon, but I think they should do more afternoon games overall. The other thing is, I think they got to change the CBA in the next agreement. I was so put off the other day where we had 0 hockey games on American Thanksgiving. We have 0 hockey games on Christmas Day. Why not? We have football. We have basketball. Why not have hockey on both days?
I can tell you why. Because Thanksgiving football is a tradition. Thanksgiving hockey is a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference. And again,
I get it, but why not start a community? Not everyone likes football.
When you watch football, how many watch parties do you see for a football game on Friday night or Sunday or whatever? They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Find me a Leafs watch party. It's not the
We
same
just
culture.
start that.
No.
You can try, but I mean, MLSC, they can't even figure out to do watch parties for their own teams. They just do it for the Buffalo Bills. Like, and I'm a Bills fan, but like, you can't do a watch party for an Argo game, but I can for a Bills game. It's idiotic. Like, but at the end of the day, hockey just doesn't have that same culture. And, honestly, you know what? A morning coffee and a Leafs game. How about this? A morning coffee and a Leafs scrimmage game that I can take my kids to the ACC for $15.
Now, just added me and Toronto's point, because I love this comment that he's making. The other hiccup to this, I think it's a great idea, but the other hiccup to this,
I didn't know the Oilers had a bunch of watch parties.
Oh, cool.
Free booze and concerts. Wow.
That
sounds like a party.
Go Alberta.
And again, so maybe it's just the Ontario market. I don't know.
I just wanted to add to me and Toronto's point, though, because we talk about morning games. I love the idea, but I'm going to go back to, funny, we're talking about Edmonton quite a bit in this episode, but I'm going to go back to Edmonton. Look at Mr. Connor McDavid complaining that he had to play a game in 4 the afternoon because it had to be prime time in Toronto, right? So when we have more regular season games playing different times and holidays, are we going to get more? It's great for the fans. I think we should do it. But are we going to get more players like Connor McDavid complaining that ruins their routine? I think, hey, you're getting $12 million here, professional.
Yeah, I agree.
Figure it out. Like, you don't have a doctor saying, oh, this person's dying, but I don't feel like doing this. Well, maybe you do, but I
hope not.
I don't know. But
no, to bring it, but I think we could have a compromise where maybe they could be more fan engagement deals going on during the days where there's not games that like people can actually go and feel like they're a part of the community. Or these watch parties are a great idea. Or why not more or less like autograph sessions? Come meet whoever. Right. And you know what? Maybe the player doesn't need to charge $40 to get something signed. Because you go to these things and you got to pay to get things signed. It's at like a meet and greet. And it's like, again, we're in an economy world. I think MLSC can afford to pay the athlete for a couple hours or whichever ownership group. I'm picking on the MLSC a lot just because that's local. But like, I was even surprised for game day engagement. And I don't mean to talk about football as much as I do, but we all know I love my football. Like when you go to a football game in Ottawa versus a football game in Toronto or Hamilton, the fan engagement's night and day. And you go to the Leafs for a hockey game. I'm sorry, the only fan engagement there is outside the ACC is I can buy a hot dog. Like, why isn't there more fan engagement out there? Like, why not do watch parties of the Leaf game at Maple Leaf Square for every game? That's free.
I was just going to say, I do it in the
playoffs. Do it for the playoffs. Why don't they do it for the regular season? They closed that road anyways, I was surprised that they closed the road because they say for foot traffic. So why not put it on the big screens?
I would go.
And then have those restaurants do a limited menu for outside only. My gosh, the amount of money the restaurants could make locally, the bars, they'd make a killing. And again, what do you get? Fan engagement.
I just have to add something about the autograph comment. Great comment to make, Jacob. There is one that's going to play devil advocate here. One problem with the autographs. If you have players sign multiple autographs for everyone, the autographs are not going to be worth as much money. And there's a
But that's not how you build a community. You're not using the autographs to make revenue. You're using it to build
a community.
Players
and teams use autographs. Look at how much autograph jerseys and balls. Some will go for over $1,000 a pop.
That's wonderful, but that shouldn't be. If the Toronto Maple Leafs need revenue off signing a hockey puck, then I think they need to relook at their structure.
But it's true, though.
I don't care if it's true. Stop being so greedy and build a community. Because lose money there, it's kind of like, Dan, you used to be in car sales. Yeah. So let's say someone
for your money.
That's right.
So let's say, Dan, I was going to buy the car full pop, full everything, and I said to you, can you give me a tank of gas? Would you say no, it's $50, or would you just give me the tank of gas?
My boss would say no, I would give you a tank.
But do you think your boss was in the wrong when they said no?
Yes.
Exactly. So give the kid the autograph puck. Now you got a fan for life because they just got an autograph puck from their favorite player of the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's what you guys are. That's what, Dan, you're not seeing.
No, I agree with you.
Bought a car from Dan. True story. But it's interesting though. Here, Keith bring up Eskimo Claire 2005. My brother and I, little ones, got almost trampled every time. It was electric back then. Now we are sick of Halsey singing before the fourth quarter and the cheerleaders, but that's what we're winning again. We're going to be showing up droves next season. Yeah, absolutely. I do actually think Edmonton Alex Eskimo, the Edmonton EEs. I think that the fan base is going to start to get going again there. But again, they built a what? Community. Look in Edmonton when the teachers were on strike and they weren't coaching. They got coached by Mark Killam, the head coach of the Edmonton Elks. Do you really think you'd see Craig Berube coaching a high school team in Toronto? No.
But Massant did back in Newfoundland.
He coached one game, which I love that he did it for that family. I thought that was a real class act. But I just mean, everyone keeps asking me, and Key, you're not the only one to ask. Dan, you're not the only one to ask. Will, you're not the only one to ask about why do we not have the culture in hockey? And I'm like, well, look at the athletes, and that's the culture.
Mm-hmm.
Like, until we get them to really understand they're being paid as entertainers and not being paid as athletes, because they're entertainers. That's what they are. Build the community, the fan base will come.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think you see more passion for football because, like, my gosh, when football players are injured, do you know what they'll do pregame if they're injured and not playing the game? They'll go to the tailgate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
do you think you would ever see a Leaf player go to the tailgate if there was tailgating in hockey?
Never.
They got to show up in their fancy suits, look like they're just going to prom, and they got to walk like this and make sure the mustache is just perfect. And mwah. That's not what the fans want. That's not what they're looking for. I like
William Nylander in a suit.
Fine, Dan, but at the end of the day, I think people would rather talk to someone like William Nylander than have it where he's got to walk through the back door of the rink where no one can see him in his suit so they can get their shot on camera. Steven Tyler is football, Justin Bieber is hockey. That's a very interesting take.
Well, I have to bring up the Key's point here. I actually said that about the Raptors. You look at the Raptors the year they won. Their celebrity, I guess celebrity ambassador is actually pretty important, by the way. Their celebrity ambassador was Drake. Drake's all about being cool and gangster and working hard and all that. And then you look at the Leafs celebrity ambassador, it was Justin Bieber. I'm like, yeah. And the Leafs perform like Justin Bieber, kind of half-ass, lazy, try to go hip and cool, So yeah, I agree with Key's point there. What's me and Toronto have to say here? Fans want engagement and feel that they are. Yeah, 100%. That's what we're talking about here. Yeah, totally. Like building community. I think this is really interesting because when my marketing project due on Tuesday, I got to talk about how to bring more families to a team. And I think everything we're talking about tonight, I'm going to talk about my project. Because if you build a community and get the fans in young, it's going to help build the team for the future.
And just quickly, I think we should go around the NHL and kind of see how some games played out today. There are still a couple games going on, but we had the Lightning handle the Rangers very easily in a 4-1 victory. Montreal Canadiens right back on the struggling Express, getting whooped 7-2 by the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah.
Edmonton, Stuart Skinner gets a shutout. Maybe that's going to bring some confidence back in their goaltending situation. Beat 4-0 over the Kraken. Flyers beat the Devils 5-3. That's going to help the Flyers get back into the playoff race. Mm-hmm. Bruins get a huge win over the Red Wings. So
they went into a shootout too.
Absolutely 3-2 victory for the Bruins. That's huge for Boston because they're neck and neck with Detroit, trying to get that playoff spot. Jets snapped a big losing streak, beating the Preds 5-2. I think that's a really important win for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the Winnipeg Jets, as they really need to get back on a roll. They've been struggling since Connor Hellebuck's been injured. St. Louis Blues 1-0 win over the Utah Mammoth. Buffalo Sabres get a surprising 3-2 win over the Minnesota Wild. That Kaprizov contract isn't really helping that team so far.
Kaprizov did do well that game, though.
It doesn't matter. They're not winning. Austin Matthews can score a hat trick, and you would still say they didn't win. Doesn't matter.
True.
Vancouver Canucks and LA Kings are currently tied at 1. Interesting to watch how that one goes. And the Golden Knights are beating the Sharks 4-2. But I actually think funny enough, the San Jose Sharks, who had this in their bingo card, the Sharks have more wins than the Golden Knights right now.
Yeah, is that nuts?
Who had that on their hockey bingo card for this year? Certainly not me.
Okay. I didn't have it on my bingo card, but I did say in the offseason before the season started, if I had to pick one team that's going improved, I did pick San Jose because I really like the moves they did in the offseason. If they brought in secondary scoring like Jeff Skinner, if they brought in veteran leadership like Ryan Leaves, if they brought in great defenseman Dmitry Orlov, and you got guys Celebrini and Will Smith have their rookie year under their belt now and are proven NHL players. I mean, Celebrini now is literally one of the best players in the league. So I didn't have them having more wins than Vegas on the bingo card, but I'll say it, and maybe I'll be wrong here. I think San Jose could squeeze into a playoff spot.
Well, it's interesting, too, for Vegas. You see Mitch Marner going into this game wasn't even a point-per-game player this year.
Mm-hmm.
Marner
Well,
going
like
into
what
tonight,
everyone said, Marner needed Matthews, and Matthews needed Marner, right? Matthews has played terrible this year without Marner, and Marner's playing terrible without Matthews. The players have played better. Willie, my boy, Willie Nylander, JT at the 6, John Tavares, and Jacob's boy, I was just going to point for Matty Nice. Those guys are playing better. And I'd love, okay, we're going off topic here a little bit. I'd love the third line that I put together tonight with McMahon, Roy, and Joshua because the size, they got to stick with that line for the whole year. That's the best. That's going to be one of the best third line in hockey. I'll just say that right here. But
Dan, I am
have to load up a top line with Knives, Willie, and Matthews.
No.
And our second line is got to be Domi, DT of the 6, and Robertson.
No. Look, I'm going to say it now. I agree with one of your takes. One of your takes I think are idiotic. One I agree with, I think the Sharks could make the playoffs. But I think loading up a top line long-term doesn't work. I think situationally you do it. But I think long-term, Matthews, Domi, and Knives started to get... Dan,
with McDavid and Draisaitl together. Those are the legendary games.
And Edmonton isn't making the playoffs right now. By the way, San Jose just scored with 24 seconds left in the third to make it 4-3.
I just saw that.
But look, I'm looking at I look at Toronto tonight, and I think we saw three really solid lines and a fourth line that just did their job and went home.
Oh, so fourth line was good.
I think for Toronto here, you need to look at it where if you can have Matthews, Nyes, and Domi as a line, as much as I don't love Domi on the top line, it's probably your best option right now, and they won. And you can have the second line of Nylander, Tavares, and who was on that line? Nylander, Tavares. Wow, I'm drawing a huge blank. I forget who was Cowan, Easton Cowan. Yeah, if you can make that work long term, what that's going to do is now teams can't just stack up one defensive line to stop your one offensive line. It's Dan, at the end of the day, you're going on with Edmonton. They haven't won a Stanley Cup with that formula because they don't have enough pieces.
Yeah,
because in Edmonton, if you shut down the McDavid and Draisaitl line, you shut down the Edmonton Oilers. The Leafs can't be like that.
Yeah, I think it overall, Jacob, I get on your page of where you're at, but like overall, it's like as we were talking earlier, is like let's look at stats for a second. Okay, what needs to be like? It feels like, as we said, we shouldn't make these necessary improvements. And, overall, like I'm going to say, even though it says Larson, for example, he extends his point streak, as a Maple Leaf, right? Mm-hmm. He had a goal and he had an assist, and the Toronto Maple Leafs beat the Penguins, right? 7-2. Does that really make a difference? No, it doesn't, right? He does good. He's stepping up there, but is he up there? No. My personal opinion, no. Where John Tavares, for example, he had 2 power play goals and he has 72 shots overall this season. Are we seeing an improvement, or are we just downgrading?
It's tough, right? I think the Leafs, I really want to see how the rest of this road trip goes. Let's see if Berube leaves the lines alone. Let's see how long OEL's hurt. But I do agree with you, Will. Just because OEL's on this long point streak, I wouldn't compare him to Cale Makar or anything. He's playing well, but he's no Quinn Hughes, right? So maybe if that trade becomes available, you pull the trigger. But you always have to be careful you're not messing up team chemistry. So let's say the Leafs start winning a bunch of games. I'm not making any trades. I'm leaving it the way it is. It's the Leafs are in a weird situation. I think they just got to wait. Look at San Jose. They struggled to start the year. Now they're 12-10-3.
Jacob.
The Vegas Golden Knights look like they were going to be dominant. They're only 10-6-8. Yes, Dan?
With the improvements of Easton Cowan this year,
Mm-hmm.
and with the improvements of Matty Nyes this year, and improvements of William Nylander, can we finally all agree that Machari was a bad trade?
No, we traded a third-round pick for him. It was low risk.
And he's done nothing.
He's been better than Max.
Look at a 7-2 victory. He wasn't even in the lineup.
So there's other games he's been in the lineup, and they've won. The game they beat Utah. He was Toronto's best player.
I want to say
his former team. I would hope so.
I want to say this is that coming up, the Leafs, they kind of have a roller coaster of a schedule.
Yeah.
And just looking at it, like their next game is Tuesday against the Panthers, right? Then they go into Carolina 2 days later.
That's
right?
Tough schedule.
Yeah. And then they go on Saturday. So they have a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday game, and that's against the Canadiens. Okay. And then after that, they go into Tampa Bay. They're going on a roller coaster this next little bit. We're gonna see this Leafs team be extended.
What they really are.
Yes, exactly.
They will test it. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Will. Yeah,
they're gonna get tested. They're overall gonna get tested these next couple of games because they got Florida. Oh man, they're in trouble. They got Carolina. They're in trouble.
Carolina's best team in the East.
We're gonna see how Hildeby does in these next two games.
That's a comment we had from, I think it's Wildfire back in YouTube comments, like probably about an hour ago at this point. He did say the next 3 or 4 games can make or break the season. And I agree. We're almost 30 games into the season now, or 82 games. We're getting close to that Christmas break. I think trade deadline, I believe, is early March this year. I think, coming in December, January, February, I think we're going to know by then this team's a real deal or not,
So with the Leafs win tonight, they're 4 points out of a playoff spot. So they're second last in the East. Actually, they're tied to Florida. So that game on Tuesday, again, it's critical. When you have Florida, Carolina is going to be, that's going to be tough. When you got Florida, Carolina, and Montreal in your next 3, I think you got to win 2 of them.
I do have the gas to ask,
it's the Carolina game. It's the Carolina game you can lose. You can't lose to Florida, and you can't lose to Montreal right now because those are 4-point games essentially, and you can't lose those games. You got to find a way to at least come away in the next 3 games. You got to come away with 4 points.
I have the gas to ask.
Man, it is getting late. To Key's question, by the way, we have been on for a 1 hour and just under an hour and 50 minutes. But let's get to Dan's gas or ass. And Key, this is not the longest show. You should have seen our NHL draft show. We were on for about 6 hours. That
was painful.
We're on fire. Let us be on fire.
But let's get to this gas or ass. Yeah. Or is it ass?
Funny how you were saying Florida, how key this game is this year. I totally agree with you, Jacob. But funny enough, Florida and Toronto are kind of in the same spot. They're both out of a playoff spot right now. They're both at the bottom of the East. Gas or ass, are we more confident, even though we're in the exact same spot, are we more confident in Florida making a playoffs right now than Toronto?
Oh, 100% gas.
I'm going to say gas, too. What do you
because
think,
Florida's doing it with Okachuk and Barkov. If either one of them gets healthy, this team's a cup contender.
What do you think, Will?
I think it's going to be gas this round.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Congratulations, Dan. You got Will for his first gas of the night.
Yes, sir. So question for you guys. If the Leafs go into these games after these first 2 games, do you think Berube will modify the lineup or will he keep it the same?
I hope he keeps it the same. I think the only change you're going to see, as much as I would start Hildeby against Florida, you're going to see him go back to Joseph Woll.
Yeah.
And OEL being injured, which we don't know if he'll back for Tuesday. There's no word at the moment. I've been scanning social media and I haven't really seen anything. He's given a big old gas here about Florida. Was he another Florida Oilers Panthers final? Good Lord, don't do that to me anymore. But I think unfortunately you're going to see a change to the defense, but I hope the forward group stay the same, especially that third line. I really liked that third line, but I think I could see Berube being a Berube and throwing it in the blender anyways. What are your thoughts, Dan?
Call me crazy. I think LA's going to make the finals this year, not Edmonton. I'll call that out here with Corey Perry Magic. But I think we're going to see some lineup changes because we do have guys like whatever, if we like him or lump him. Marcelli was one of the trades that Brad Treliving did to get him in. So he's not going to be never fail with that. Like he's got to get him going, And he's a guy who's taking up $3.4 million of your cap space. You got to get him going. So I think we're going to see him back in the lineup, especially after seeing Domi and Joshua and Robertson all getting scratched. Look how good they all played tonight, right? So I think someone is coming out of a lineup to put Martelli in. I just don't know who you're taking out because I
don't think you're changing this lineup after their best win all season.
I don't think he should. I would keep it the same. I'm just saying, knowing Craig Berube, I think that's what he'll do.
So the thing is that looking at the Leafs injuries at the moment, okay, how many, Jacob, Dan, how many injuries do the Leafs have out right now that are defensemen?
Chris,
like half the core now. It's OEL, Tanev, and Carlo.
Yeah, see? So
that's
for
half
example,
your defensive core.
So see right there, we're missing half of the team. So maybe Berube might make some changes once they get back, but it depends on each of these players because based on their injuries. Like Larson,
I agree with that.
Larson is day-to-day right now. So he may not come back still for a while. And who knows how long it's going to take him to get back on the ice. How long is it going to take Benoit to come back on the
ice? Benoit, I forgot about.
Well, yeah, because Simone Benoit, he was gone for a personal reason. He had a family emergency. He had to attend.
Hopefully everyone's okay. He's a great guy.
You got to think too. With Stolarz, for example, he's out right now. He's out right now because he has an upper body injury.
Does he?
Yes.
Yes, Dan, he does.
Yes.
He's very terrible.
Yes. Yeah, and it says that he, according to what I've looked at, it says he has yet to return to the ice. And then also you got to think too, is that maybe once these guys get back, we might see an improvement in the team.
Oh, for sure we will. I totally agree.
Well, yeah, like I mean, you're missing potentially you have Benoit being out tonight too. Like if he's back, even not back by Tuesday, and if OEL's out, you're missing 4 of your 6 NHL defensemen.
This is crazy,
right? And that's huge. I mean, look at the difference we've seen with Waugh and Matthews and Nyes coming back in the lineup to the forward group. All of a sudden, the forwards look a lot better.
Yeah.
So 100%. Maybe even too, as a Leaf fan, if they can just stay within reach of a playoff spot until they get healthy, then maybe this team can make a run, right? So
100%.
Look, at the end of the day, I think it's going to depend on what happens the next little bit. But I think, Will, to your point, I think if everyone's healthy, you stick with the lineup the way it is. I think they just came off one of their most complete games of the year. Let's just keep it rolling. And I really want to see what Easton Cowan can keep doing. But I am curious. I do think we'll wrap up soon, as we've been almost on for
just quickly, though. Tomorrow, NFL Super Sunday. So watch that.
Absolutely. Sunday's going to be great. But to make one more point I want to bring up about Saturday and about the Leafs, I want your guys' opinion on this. 5-forward power play. Do we like it? Do we hate it? I hate it.
I'm going to say ass. I hate the 5-guy power play. I'm old school. I like the 2-man power play. You look at the legendary
I want to be a very good power play.
Maple Leaf teams. It was like McCabe and Cowboy, McCabe and Leeds. I mean, I love having 2 defensemen passing back and forth for a one-timer. I mean, I think if we brought someone like that to the NHL nowadays, they wouldn't know what to do. I mean, it's incredible stuff to watch.
But do you got to think is this, if you do it that way, is it going to help the team overall during the game? Or is
it's tough, right? Because statistically,
two defensemen
don't work anymore.
Yeah, or it's going to put more pressure. right?
Well, it is going to help a lot if you get a sole-handed breakaway going the other way.
Well, I'm going to say this. I think the Leafs should at least go back to 4 forwards and 1
Yes.
defenseman. I think you
Yes.
need at least Riley or OEL out there on the power plays. They're
Yeah.
both very good power play quarterbacks. Let
yeah.
them cook. Dan, you don't want to go 2 defensemen because the issue is new power plays now are all about puck movement.
I get it. I
And
just
you
my
want to
personal
cycle
opinion.
game around, and it's not what it. And let's be honest too, goalies can read slap shots, one-timers from the point pretty easily now.
I just my opinion. Get traffic in front and bang it home. Right.
That's what the second power play unit should be. The first
I gotta
one's all about
say,
puck
though,
movement.
OEL I think is the best contract Brad Reliving has done. I was so excited when they signed him. I love OEL. And have him locked up for 4 years and $3.5 million. That's gotta be one of the best bargains in the NHL.
I think Connor McDavid's the best bargain at 12.5.
Well, Tavares at 4.
But guys, I think on that bombshell, I think it's time to wrap up the show for the evening. I do want to thank Will for joining us tonight. Will, we're very happy to have you.
Thank you, bud.
Hope to have you again soon. It's been great having you at the desk tonight.
Like your tattoos, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's sweet. Some sweet ink there.
Thanks very much, Will, for joining. Thank you, Lane Dashing Dashko, who was on the show with us
More for your money.
Good hour. Mr. More for your money. And of course, the self-proclaimed sports.
Hopefully, Mr. Dasko's okay. He had a little bit of a stomach cramp, so hopefully he's all good.
Might have to run him some Gaviscon, Dan. But thank you very much for watching us at the Analyst Desk. Tune in next time for another great episode. And remember, when you're at the Analyst Desk, every day feels like game day. Have a great night, everyone. Dan, good luck on the project. He's very happy to meet you tonight, Will. And
nice to meet you as well.
We will see everyone on the flip side. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you very, very soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.